Hi, everyone. We'll get started soon. We have 14 here out of 44 registrants. I'm not sure how many will be available to join us today, but I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes so that I don't have to start over again for those of you who are here early. So that's great. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
How do I make it so you're the only one on the screen? It's divided up into 3 people. You know?
I know what you mean, and I'm not sure how to do that.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Hi, Francis. There's a button called View next to chat. People raise your hand, react. If you go to speaker, I think that'll make it full screen for the speaker.
Ah.
So you said to go to the people?
View.
I'm so confused.
If you don't see view, it might be in more with the 3 dots.
Okay, thank you. You said I don't see it. I got a really old computer. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think everybody should be here by now. Hi, Chanda. Hello. Hi, CJ, Diane, and Francis, and Zach. Welcome to my favorite. Let me see, want to make sure that everybody's here and has access. Yep, there's Diane. Okay. So everybody can hear me? Yes?
Yes.
And you can see my PowerPoint.
I can see faces, but not a PowerPoint.
Oh. How's that? Got it?
Module 3. Yeah.
Module 3. Good. So those of you, great, thank you. Those of you that are on camera or have yourself unmuted, tell me what you thought And if you prefer, you can type it into the chat. Tell me what you thought about Module 2. That was Myers-Briggs. How many of you were able to get that done and complete the webinar that went along with it?
Oh, I thought it was really good. It made me understand a bit more clearly what things I do well at work and
Mhm.
why some things are frustrating to me.
That's also really good to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
So those of you who don't know me, my name is Holly Westland, and I've been a facilitator here for about 9 or 10 years. Before that, I was in employment services as a vocational rehab consultant to help people return to work after significant illness or injury. And Diane, you can only see a black screen. Okay. Let me see. I can. There's still a few people showing up, so I don't want to start too much. And Francis, you have your hand up. Did you have another question, my friend? Are you still seeing a black screen? If you're on a phone, Cody's saying try rejoining, and that's what I would suggest you do if you can't see the screen. I've got both up, they're both working. I've got green lights on all of mine. And so if you want to try that, that may help with resetting your sound and your PowerPoint presentation. We'll get there. Okay, so I think we're all back, and I hope that you are able to see again the PowerPoint. I hope it helped come back on. Okay. That worked. Okay. Wonderful. So thankful that that's helping. So welcome to Module 3. This builds on the Module 2, which was when you did your type focus personality sort. And so you all got a 4-code descriptor of your personality, preferences, strengths, weaknesses, and all things in between. It is quite an exceptionally detailed program. And so one of the things that comes up after you complete your type focus is it offers you some ideas on careers. And I think Kevin was able to go through with you on how to research through ONET. Is that correct? And WorkBC and all of those websites to have a look at the different types of jobs and the descriptors about those jobs. So here's the trick about that. If I can get this to work. Again, let's talk about confidentiality and we'll move on. I like to self-disclose if there's anything around my own experience through my own career discovery and training. And by all means, share with people what you learn and what you like about this and what you've learned about yourself. I would ask that you don't share other people's stories. And that'll keep this a safe place where we can respect each other's opinions and experiences and allow us to have some good conversations around our personalities and careers. So I'm working from a couple of different screens. So, pardon me. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional and unceded territories of the First Nations on whose catchments we work and operate. And in the Victoria area, it's the Songhees, Esquimalt, Wasanic, Pakwachin, Sarlip, and Sayout, Malahat, and Sakem nations. So that's the greater Victoria area. I'd also like to raise my hands in respect and gratitude to our neighbors to the north in Nanaimo, the Snuneymuxw, the Snanaas, and the Semanas First Nations in Nanaimo. For those of you joining us from Abbotsford or Mission, I raise my hands in gratitude to the Stalo First Nation Society in the Fraser Valley. And those of you from the Okanagan, I think we have like 5 little offices in the Okanagan. And I would like to acknowledge with respect the Syilx First Nation Society of the South Okanagan. So we're going to came up for you, training and education and how to conduct information interviews to get decisions about your next step, and different resources and links and a question and answer. But first, my favorite part, I want to talk about those occupational choices. Now, a lot of times when we do these type focused personality assessments, there's certain levels of suggestions for careers. And so what you'll find is a full spectrum of careers that require significant amounts of education and academia and experience, like becoming a doctor or a dentist or something like that. And you go, yeah, I would probably enjoy that job, but there's no way I want to spend 8 years in school. Fair enough. But are there other jobs that would give you similar satisfaction with less education and less commitment in terms of time and money? So that's what we also want to explore today. And I've got a picture of these eggs because if you eat eggs, maybe you had one this morning. I see Jana going, no, no, no eggs. You know, there is a lot of different jobs that need to happen, especially with the hen, to get those eggs to us. And so I want to just have you start thinking and brainstorming what kind of work is involved in getting eggs to a consumer, either in a restaurant or you go buy them in the store. What are some of the careers that people have, including the hens, on what are some of the jobs that could be attached to egg production? I'm going to put one down here in chat. I'm going to put feed producer. What other jobs? Partner occupations. Each one of these, transportation, absolutely, yes. Egg collector, yeah. Great. So eggs are raised by a farmer, yes, and they need to be fed. So, oh, so good. The automation, right, around the machines that are built and serviced, even the cages, collecting and gathering, making sure that chickens are not in the way when you gather the eggs, transportation, washing of the eggs. Yes, that washer that Diane's talking about. Transportation, so professional drivers, the feed producer, market research, yes. Egg cleaning, there's farm hands that deliver, and there's those that create the packaging. Digital media that design logos, food inspectors, sales. So all we need is a little bit of information. The monopoly mogul that sets the prices. Yes, who are they? Anyways, I think that, you know, it's surprising, but there's, yes, grocery stores, production, all of that, veterinarians, cage builders, incubator builders, coolers, refrigeration, all of those things. When you think about how many people are involved in the production and delivery of eggs, so we can enjoy those ourselves if we eat them, then, you know, that's a lot of people all surrounding this one product, the egg. And so when you do your personality sort, as we did in Type Focus, you're going to find, Galen, that's right. You're going to find that there is some jobs that come up and you go, I would love to do that job, but you know, I'm 50 years old and I don't have time to go back for 12 years to become a psychiatrist. Well, that may be true for you. That might be your reality, but psychiatrist comes up for you. But are there other shorter training that could give you the same satisfaction? Is there a way of working that really makes a difference in people's lives without going to school for 12 years? So that's what I want to do today, is to look at some of the jobs that came up for you and you're going, there's no way I would ever do that job. True. And are there similar, shorter type training and jobs that would get you close to what your values are, that would get you close to what has meaning for you. Because we know that if you're working in a job with no meaning and does not align with your values, the paycheck probably won't keep you there. And you'll be in a cycle of looking for different jobs and wondering where your pathway is, because you're looking at jobs that may have no meaning or don't make sense. So I'm going to ask one of you to type in the chat, what was one job that came up where you went, no way, I can't do that? Harbor master. So, and I've got therapist and mortician. You know what, Chandra, I always get mortician when I do these, always. And it's like, no way. No. But could I work as a support person at a hospice? Yes, I could, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like, mortician comes up for you, and it's a 4-year apprenticeship, and then it takes quite a few years to really build up a network. So maybe there's some hints of what's important to you, that you're looking at post-secondary, and the reality is that you're not going to go in that direction, right? But there's things that's telling us about ourselves. Harbor master, CJ, tell me more. That would be working on the water, either on barges, tugboats,
Yeah.
ferries.
Definitely. I'm not into working outside. My jobs has always been inside. A majority of my working life has been a housekeeper. I don't like the sea. I don't like swimming. I don't like any of that stuff. I can swim, but I just don't want to do it. So it's just like a harbor master wouldn't be a right fit for me. Even though I did score as an ISTJ and we're very good with detail and stuff like that, it just doesn't interest me.
So here's a question, is when you think of a harbor master, what about being the dispatcher? What about being the communications person inside, not on the boat, but inside the authority building, or a scheduler? Because those are also details, and you're good at details. You might not want to drive the boat, right? But there are things about that may be along the lines of, okay, so harbor master, what kind of jobs are out there? Well, we've got all these things. Like if you're working for a ferry, maybe dispatcher or customer service at one of the ferry terminals or something like that. It doesn't mean that would be a really necessary job. And it takes quite a few years to get to that level, right? As a harbor master. But if it's something where you want to work with people, where you want to make a difference, where you're really good at detail orientation and being able to juggle a bunch of balls up in the air at the same time, you can see how that would have come up for you. Therapist, Francis, it talks about therapist. Usually when that comes up for people, it's really, thank you, London. Harbor master doesn't captain the ships, he controls the operations at the port. So you could be a helper, right, with the laws and regulation. So Francis, therapist. Would
Yeah.
that be something you'd be interested in becoming?
Yeah, it's funny because I've always been interested in that. But there's a lot of schooling involved, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's been a thread throughout your life.
Yeah.
And so would you be open to taking some training?
Yeah, definitely.
So perhaps a therapist may not be in the cards for you, because it's also about returns on your investment. So do you therapist, or get your master's in social work and be able to pay off your student loan and work long enough to do that?
Probably not.
No, for myself, absolutely not. But there's so many other things that we can do. And if that's a thread, it clearly says, I'm a person who needs to make a difference. I'm a person who wants to make a difference. And there's so many areas of need out there. There's youth workers, a 10-month course, a mental health worker, 10-month course, early childhood educator, right? You can do that online, and then yeah, I couldn't do early childhood. I'm terrified of children, even though I have 4. So there's other things that we can do, and what we're looking at is how it relates to our values and how it relates to how we want to work. Is that with people? Is it with things? Is it with using our hands? All of those things, they come into play. And so, while you may not have 8 or 12 years to get your master's or PhD, do you have an opportunity to become an educational assistant? By the way, they really need males in the school system right now. And so I know District 62 is doing an on-the-job training program for educational assistants starting in January. Like, they're actually creating their own programs because the need is so great. So is there something there that's telling you a story? And are there different occupations, just like with the egg, there's lots of jobs around that egg. So, right? Is there something that you could do that would give you job satisfaction, a meaningful paycheck, relates to your values, and doesn't require the same amount of money and time to get to a similar place? Just thinking about that. And mortician, yeah, that's because part of your career preferences have to do with your values and making a difference. What's the difference between a mortician and an embalmer? So let's talk about that. A mortician handles, once you complete your program, you're handling the legalities, the families, and all of that. The embalmer is the technician. And they don't work with the families directly. They work with the families deceased. So if, in terms of personality and looking at your type focus, A mortician handles more of the people and legalities, and the embalmer is far more highly, a much more highly technical position in that funeral directorship. So you can see where different personalities would take on different roles in the funeral business. And we don't often think about what these threads of connection are telling us. And I really want to encourage you to have a look at these. Yeah, there is an 18-month training program for counselors. That's right. And that you can take that training. A lot of it's online and videos. So yeah, better than 12 years if that's where your heart is telling you to go, right? Corrections. So law and order. But what if you don't want to work in a jail like right? Like, no, I don't want to work in corrections. I don't want to be a police officer. I don't want to do that stuff, but it comes up. So could it be that you could shift that to a more like a victims services advisor? So not working with the criminals or the criminal courts, but working with the victims that need support and encouragement as they go through the system. Do you see how this sort of works and how you can sort of poke at some of the information that you have? And it's it's thinking, what do I wish? What do I goals? And share that and think about it, because what I want to do is based on my values, my interests, my strengths, my intelligences. And what's my obstacle? Maybe it's the time length for that kind of training. So then you start to look at shorter training to achieve the same emotional satisfaction that you would in a longer training program. So how many of you got jobs show up for you that were like, oh, I've done that and I never again? Those are going to happen because you already have experienced them. So things that you've experienced that you've already done are going to show up on these assessments. Let's have a look here. Landscaping and, but what about being a florist? There's something about green and growing, Diane. There's something there that could be of satisfaction to you. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Community mental health worker. That is such a big stepping stone to other types of work as well. Community mental health worker, you can step into employment like I do, like we do here, right? So, and you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, where you said community mental health worker, I just quickly like Googled it, and there's actually a course, Douglas College. Back when I was 19 or 20, I was gonna go to Douglas College for fashion design. But that's quite interesting. It just says 1 semester, so it's like 4 months.
Yeah, and there's some really good training out there right now because our need is so great for trained people. But you don't necessarily have to go back to university. There are lots of different ways of getting training and shorter training. So, for example, to be a career practitioner, what I do now, my path here is completely different, but for a lot of people, how they get here in terms of working in employment or facilitation or whatever is an 18-month online program. Now, some companies prefer a degree as well, but we advertise that you can have a degree or a combination of experience, and it's fine. As a matter of fact, we
Sorry.
tend to hire people who have experience as community health workers or probation officers or whatever, people that can work with people that are experiencing difficulty. So,
I just want to mention I do have a degree. I got a degree through Athabasca University.
Yep.
A bachelor in general studies, arts and science.
awesome.
I finished my degree. I'm class of 2020. I finished it up. So I don't know if that will work. My concentration was actually sociology and criminology.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be applicable to the community mental health worker.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I think that you'll find that you have lots of transferable skills that you're going to, they interrelate, right? They do interrelate. And working, for John Howard or working for, youth probation, or maybe working, as with your training in mental health, working as a restorative justice support person, right? Diverting youth out of trouble and into a more community-minded way of atoning for their problems. Oh, and Sam is saying, okay, Wanya? Yeah. Okay, so supervision and management, if that's not your deal,
Mhm.
but it comes up, right?
Yes, yeah, it does come up.
And that's because you're probably you're a detail person.
Well, I was in management and supervision for many years, but I don't want to do that anymore.
I hear you.
No people.
But could you be a trainer? Could you be a trainer?
I could think about that maybe.
Right? There's possibilities there of working with different companies that travel around and train people in proper customer service and different things like that. You're not dealing with customers, you're teaching youth and you're teaching other people how to handle those things.
Yeah, that sounds like a good option.
Oh, I don't know if any of these are possible. I'm just poking the cloud.
Yes, I get you.
And Sam is saying a lot of choices, audio and visual technician. And yeah, that would have come up for you because it was your last job. And so there was something about that, the working with technology, the working with media and the intricacy. Can I ask you, Sam, if that would be something you could go back to or would want to go back to?
No, I'm a single mom, and so the hours don't work anymore for it. And most of the gigs that I was getting they're night gigs, and you can't work like that with with a child at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have you thought about an alarm technician?
No, but I will definitely look into that.
Have a
That's-
look. You know, it's an apprenticeship, and so you're not going to school, you're earning right from day one. And you install alarm systems. And we know that the world is getting a little bit trickier. And I would say that most people are shifting to like TELUS security or different types of security to protect their homes. So a technician, there's a lot of crawling around, but it's usually Monday to Friday for an alarm technician. So you're installing that, and that would be either in new buildings or existing homes or whatever. Another one is the technicians that actually take the calls for emergency from these different types of uh, uh, stores. However, the challenge there would be that I don't think the hours would be that great for you.
Yeah, maybe a audio dispatch kind of thing, where you just
That you
answer
can
the
do from
calls.
home.
Yeah, that's not I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, jump in, people, if you have an idea too. I am just going, my brain is just firing off some of the most esoteric things. But this is what I'd like you to do, is examine some of those jobs and anything that comes up where you go, ah, interesting. I'd like to do that, and then have a look at it. Okay, so Lydia, a teacher, community support worker, educational assistant, the administrative part of teaching, classroom organization, yeah, assessment. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have problems with executive functioning in terms of organization and assessment. And teaching, that's what I went through, Lydia, and I realized that it was the administrative part. I didn't have any problem with the students,
Yeah.
but trying to develop and stay focused on creating curriculum and all of that stuff, I really struggled with. I get it.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I just finished my degree. I was an EA for 10 years and then I went and I just finished my degree in 2020. And I've been a sub for 2 years. And then I
Mhm.
worked for a First Nation for not quite a year and a half, but that sort of ended abruptly and I'm sort of all of a sudden wondering what I'm going to do. And
Sure.
you know, the thing is, it's kind of hard you breaking into that new career. Maybe I sub, but I only wind up getting 3/4 time or half time, so it's not very all the greatest pay. And
Right.
and I don't have that many more years to work, so yeah, I'm not quite sure how
Mhm.
I'm going to deal with that.
Mhm.
And
Have you? Okay, go ahead.
I like to. I don't want to continue on for a long time doing these huge long hours because you've got to be
Correct.
prepared for the next day. And when you're new breaking into it, you get little bits and pieces of jobs here and there that you can't be completely prepared for. So I just feel like I don't want to completely ignore my health and my family anymore. I'd like to be able to do an 8-hour job, you know?
Mhm. Have you thought of working for some of the private tutorial companies?
I don't know too much about that. What do you know?
So you choose your own hours. You make yourself available to, what is there? Uh, I can't remember the names, but there's private schools where you work individually with the students, and you have groups of students, and you design the hours you want within that structure.
Oh, really? It's like tutoring or,
Yeah,
but sometimes for overseas or how, do you know?
no, I'm thinking more like Sylvan Learning. Is that
Oh, okay,
a
right.
thing, or Cuomo Learning, and they hire teachers such as yourself with experience, and then you set the times that you're available.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of it's online, so you could do a lot of it from home.
Oh, okay. Something to think about.
Yeah. And I'm going to make an announcement to all of you, just so that you know. Um, we have been sold to a new company. And whenever that happens, the pendulum swings back and forth. And so what we may see in January is a shift from some of our staff moving on to other opportunities. And I want to just say that both the philosophy of Maximus, that now has a contract with Work BC, and the new company Angus Knight Group, they're all committed to hiring clients. We hire more clients in terms of what we do. So if you have a degree, maybe you just need to take a couple of courses and become an adult educator within this system.
Wow. How do you find out about that?
I'm thinking of CJ too, actually, youth support and programs and different things like that. There are training programs through professional life strategies and Douglas College, and they're online. If you have a degree and you have teaching and you have good communication skills and you have a passion for making a difference, then, if you have all of that, then what you really need in order to be considered ready for a professional designation as a career practitioner is to at least have the minimum of one of our ethics courses and one of our courses in theories.
That's interesting.
You'd be surprised how many people start here in admin and leapfrog into some of our more in-depth positions.
Wow, that's interesting.
So have a look at Maximus Canada, Maximus Employment Services. And then in the new year, look for Angus Knight Group Employment Services. Because whenever there's a change in the paradigm, things change, people come and go. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And Nicole is saying, responding to you, Sam, around issues is finding something around the hours of having kids, administrative type work for that. So, yeah, I mean, I think now there are more and more opportunities for you to work from home. For example, Maximus only sold the employment services, but they have multiple contracts with the BC government, and almost all of it is virtual from home. So it never hurts to look at those possibilities as well. If you have a quiet room with a door that you can lock, they will supply everything. Yeah, it's really quite interesting. Administrative type work. You know, again, administrative work, some pays really well, some does not. And what you want to do is really understand what your bottom line is, right? What do I need to earn? What's my bottom line? That's my cutoff. I cannot accept money anything less than this, or hours anything more than this. Get an idea about that. And then once you figure out your bottom line, don't tell anybody. That's just for you to know. But if you've got that as an understanding, then what you're able to do is, as you move through and you're doing your information interviews and you're talking to people and you're applying for work, you know in your mind what you can and cannot accept in terms of finances. And that way you can make a better informed decision on whether or not you can accept the job. Not every job is going to be a good fit, and that's okay. But at least go through the interview so you can find out more information to make those decisions for yourself. 10 years property management. Ooh. Sorry. My parents were property managers. It was horrible. They worked day and night around the clock. They had a large apartment building that they managed. That is a hard work, really hard work.
It's getting worse because of it's now turned into a crisis, right? Housing.
Correct.
And like I managed a portfolio of 1,500 units, and it was all strata. It's not called strata out east, but it's basically all strata units. And so you're dealing with all investors, and all they care about is making money. And I actually cared about my tenants. Do you know what I mean? And it's really, really hard to take a $300 rent increase to a single mom who can't even pay for daycare, and it's basically an eviction, right? So it's just a really predatory, it's a crisis, and it broke me emotionally. So, but I mean, that's my whole kind of professional skill base is that. And I was very good at it. There's a huge sales component. There's a, a customer service type component. So some transferable skills, but tough to really, like, I mean, I was making really good money. So it's tough to go from that to flipping burgers, you know?
Yeah. But you're good with people. And could you work for the Refugee Association, helping other people find places to live? Like, you could be on the other side of that and be an advocate for people who are new or who may need housing, because you've got the
romantically I'd like to get into the nonprofit, but there's no money in nonprofit. You know, like you're better off delivering pizza than working in nonprofit these days.
Why would you say that? Like I'm
true.
not because I've worked in multiple nonprofits, and their benefits and their salaries were awesome.
I mean, maybe in the industry you were in, and the industry that I'm coming out of, I've looked at and have even taken interviews with some nonprofits. Couch and Tribe very recently offered me a position, and it's a third of what I would normally make in the private industry in terms of property management, housing. There's like, no money in the private sector.
Yeah, like you're talking like the subsidized housing, Macola and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's like 20 to 26 bucks an hour versus going to the private sector and like six figures.
So, when we're going through a career change though, the pendulum shifts. Like, I'm not saying that you need to take minimum wage jobs. I'm just saying that once you retrain, it will take a little bit of time to build up to that income again. Unless you want to do something like sell big ticket items like recreational vehicles. By the way, you can get a mortgage on those. They make really good money because people are retiring and buying RVs to live in, right? Kind of interesting. London, I worked in the marine industry. I want a land-based job and work in addictions, substance abuse, treatment centers, outreach. So this is my experience with treatment centers and outreach services, is that they prefer people. There are 10-month training programs in addiction. You can become an addiction support person, I think, with a 10-month program. And they want somebody who's had lived experience, either yourself in recovery or family that has gone through recovery. That is really important for a lot of, especially the private treatment centers. So just a thought, you can do shorter term, but with lived experience, it upgrades your level of experience. Ooh, lots of comments. Restorative justice. Yeah, I did restorative justice as a volunteer, and it was some of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Entrepreneur, actress, or artist? Who was that?
That was me.
Oh.
So yeah, so I'm a teacher, a
Right.
support worker, an EA. I've done all those.
Yeah,
Well,
you have.
But yeah, things that came up for my type. Entrepreneur, well, I just don't know quite where I would go with that. But I've always been drawn to doing artistic things. I loved that as a. I did the theater program for a semester. I loved it, but making a living from that is tricky, So, but yeah, I don't know. There might be something I could do with being an entrepreneur.
And art therapy. So get a 10-month diploma in child and youth, and then offer art therapy. You know how to build a curriculum.
Yeah.
Not that would be your favorite. I can't say wasn't mine, but yeah. I think there, and how I got into this field initially was I had taken a drug and alcohol counseling program that was 18 months long. And then from there, believe it or not, I got a job managing a psychiatric group home. So then I took more training, and on it went from there. So do I know more about Angus Night Group? Not really. They just bought us. I'll let you know in January. Camosun College, mental health, addictions, criminal justice. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, CJ, that whatever you do, it's really going to be something that makes a difference. You're not going to go just for the paycheck. You know that. And I think for a lot of you, now that you've done Type Focus, you can understand that. Midwife. Ooh, Natalie. I could never be a midwife. I'm too squeamish. Do you know that there's another type of midwife? I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's just starting to get popular now. And that is, I think they call them a death doula. So these are counselors that help people move through with their loved ones through the stages of treatment and illness, and then they help the family prepare. They help the person prepare in a very loving and gentle way. Yeah, very interesting. So midwife, a doula. UVic theater, not interested in theater tech, right? Yeah, Chandra, doula, very much. They even have, there's a program that you can take, and it's a retirement coach. Now, they have nothing to do with the money. What they are, corporations, like big corporations, are offering when people are ready to retire, like about a year or two before they actually retire. Companies will help you with a retirement coach to plan out what your life is going to look like when you retire. So do you want to travel? Do you want to spend more time with your children? Whatever it is, but they help you to plan your retirement so that you have control over that right away. About your retirement. You know that for a lot of people, they work really hard all their lives, they retire, and within 2 years they're really sick or they've passed. And this helps you prepare and again make informed decisions how you want to live your life. And apparently it's I know there's retirement coaches in Victoria and Nanaimo. Like, I couldn't do the finances, but helping them decide on recreation and, and part of it is reconnecting with family and all sorts of stuff, right? So. Anyways, I do know that there is, again, a program from the States where you get certified as a retirement coach. So how do you find out about all these things? Well, you can look, you do your research. You've been given resources like ONET and WorkBC, the Federal Job Bank. You understand national occupation classifications. Yeah. I'm assuming that you got that in the last webinar, right? How to research these occupations. And one of the best ways, though, is to get, if you're interested, talk to somebody who already does the job. They already do the job. And ask them if you can spend 15, 20 minutes with them and ask some questions about what they love about their job. What do they struggle with? What are some, what are the rewards? So that, again, it's all about knowing yourself. I assume that's why you're in this program. It's about self-reflection, knowing ourselves and our values, and finding out from people, what is it that I can do that is going to be meaningful for me now? What does that look like? And the best way is to ask people that are already doing the job. And informational interviews are how you do that. If you're applying for government funding to go back to school and you want funding from, let's say, Work BC, you want to get your mental health worker certificate, whatever, they are going to require that you do at least 3 or more informational interviews, right? So this concept is really important because you can do all the research you want. And the reality is if you don't talk to people who are actually doing it, you may not be getting the right information. So I love information interviews, but I never use that term. Because when I say I would like to do an informational interview, the first thing employers hear is, oh, interview. Yeah, we're not hiring. No, I want to interview you. I want to know about this job. I'm not asking for work. At this point, you're never asking for work, you're asking for information. And it is such a powerful way to make connections with people that down the road may hire you. You're not asking them now, but down the road, you're already starting to build a network. And it's about interviewing them. So it's about good time answering your questions. This could be longer than that. You get to meet with an expert who's already done the programs and have experienced the work and advice. And you always ask him, is there another person that you could recommend I could talk to? May I use your name when I contact them? Now you've got 2 people in your network, and you've got 2 ideas about what this type of work looks like. Every environment is going to be different. Every job is different, right? Remember, it's not an opportunity to ask for a job. Okay. Natalie, I believe, is saying I was looking into special ed education assistant. Not sure I want to work with kids. Oh, I hear you. They terrify me. No way. I get it. Cody, who's in charge between the transition? Look at both websites. I'm not even sure if it's been officially announced. But January 1st, I will be an employee of Angus Knight. That's all I can really say to you right now because it just happened. But there's opportunity for you in things like that. And Chanda, working in a recovery center, frontline. I bet you have. Yeah. You know what? All of us, Chandra, have done informational interviews and don't even know we've done them. Right? When we talk to somebody else about what they like about their job and what kind of education they have and what kind of experience, that's what it's all about, right? I call it information gathering is probably the most effective way also. Down the road after you finish, appreciated the help you gave me. And I want you to know I've completed my training and I just wanted to reconnect with you. So there's things of questions now on Career Connect, and you're all on Career Connect. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now. On Career Connect, if you have a look, we have multiple different courses that you can do on your own anytime, day or night. And we have a big proponent of informational interviewing, networking, questions to ask, and all of that. So make sure that you follow up on Career Connect after you finish this. After you finish, you've only got one more webinar to do. Once you've done all of that, take the time to go back and look at some of the techniques that we're suggesting and learn those as well. And then, you know, you are fully prepared for independent job search and looking at training possibilities. How would I get an info interview with a police officer? I think it would be easier to talk to the people in the mental health and addictions field, and then ask who their contacts are at the police station, and ask if they, you know, they would be willing to help you with that. Francis, I don't know where you live. Where do you live? You're asking who's Abbotsford. I know that we have free computer courses here. They're a week long for our clients. I'm not sure what Abbotsford offers.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know that we have lots of training programs. What you want to do is see if there are ways to get support while you go to school, either short-term courses like first aid, food safe, but longer courses too, right? Skills training for employment. We have lots of different avenues, and you would be amazed at how many people qualify for programs and services. It's amazing. Don't sell yourself short. If you're not sure, find out from your advisor. You can also go on Work BC and plan your career. Right? They actually have some more career, brief little mini quizzes on career discovery on the BC website. So when you consider training of any kind, of course, you want to make sure that it's going to work with your family, it works with your interests, that there is a way for you to finance this. And, you know, if anybody asks me, Holly, what's the best type of training to get? A 2-year medical training program, 2 years, that's all you need. And you can earn 80 plus after you graduate. So if you do a medical tech course, technician, it's 2 years. They're not the ones that draw well, they can draw the blood, but they're the ones who test, right? They're the ones who test the blood and urine and all of that. It's a 2-year course, about $50,000 in student loans. But if you're making $80,000, you can easily pay that back within 10 years. But it takes a lot of commitment, and it may take debt. But it is certainly a way of maximizing your income moving forward. If you have 10 or 15 or 20 years left in the workforce, it could be something that would be doable. But it has to make sense for you, right? You need to be able to go, if I can get this funding from the government, I'm still going to need a bit of a student loan. I'm going to be out of the workforce for 2 years, but I'm going to be earning 80,000 plus and benefits, and I've got 15, 20 years left in the workforce. Think about it. If you're 45 right now, you've got 20 years left in the workforce. Is it worth your while to step out for 2 years to maximize what you're going to earn? I'm 67. It's a little bit different for me. I'm not career building now. But for a lot of you, you very well could be. But it takes courage to commit to that. It really does. Yeah, so CJ, that's quite a commitment. And if you know whether or not you qualify for our training program, we can at least offset, tuition up to $7,500 in some instances. We also have lots of resources for immigrants, Central Vancouver Island, and the Intercultural Association. Yeah, so your local WorkBC office that you attend will have all these resources for you, and there is training available. Maybe you have international credentials. They've shifted the whole process to maximize and quickly get people through the credentialing assessments, and they're making it easier because they realize that it's just been ridiculous. And we have all these wonderfully trained people, and there's some even trades where if you learned your trade in Alberta, it may not necessarily be valid here in BC. They've stopped that. They go by your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities. They assess that and assign your credentials. We have self-employment. All of you who had entrepreneur in your type focus, if you have a business idea that you never thought that you haven't done here in Canada, and you have a business idea, and you haven't activated the business, we do have support for people with a business idea for self-employment. So you go through the courses on how to run a business. They help you with a forecasted cash flow. You do a presentation, and if you're entered into, they accept you into the program, then you are paid around $600 a week to live on while you start your business. So. Yeah. So business ideas. I mean, I think we have to move away from, as we move forward, moving away from things that are called jobs and moving into areas where we're earning an income and that we get to choose how many hours we work or not, especially for families and children and all of that. We need to start thinking about how to work smarter, not longer, right? Volunteer work is a wonderful way to add to your skills. I would not be in this career or had found my career that I love and I've been in for over, well, I won't tell you how long. If it wasn't for volunteering, that got me started on a path where I realized I need to make a difference. Whatever I do in a job, I need to make a difference. And by all means, if you are looking at any type of work with the government, any kind of government, municipal, provincial, federal, whatever it is, they recognize volunteer work as part of your knowledge, skills, and abilities. And so it holds just as much weight as your paid work, because you learned skills and competencies. Doesn't matter whether you were paid for it or not. It's the fact that you did it and you have practical experience. And employers on LinkedIn, there are so many people on LinkedIn making those connections. An employer, if they have a LinkedIn profile, can just type in their wish list, and then LinkedIn will scan all of the members for those whose biographies are closest to. So there is a lot of activity on LinkedIn. And we also have a course on how to do that. So I've gone through this fairly quickly. I'm more than happy to take questions. If I can answer them, I would love to do that. And if I can't, then I will just direct you back to your Work BC office and your advisor, right? So we had a great group today. 30 people. That's pretty awesome. And CJ, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I know that when I go back to school, either September 2024 or 2025, I know that they will like link me up with like, professionals in different areas, because I'm seriously considering the criminal justice diploma. Because like I said, I may have to actually take the 2 years. And like you said, since I'm certified in Alberta, it may not transfer over, to BC. So, I'll just go see a recruitment officer. They'll transfer my degree over, and the rest. But I just want to say thank you for helping me find where I'm interested in, and I think I'm gonna go for it, for real.
Good for you. Yeah, for all of you, remember that this is just the beginning of your quest. And I think that we rarely have time to step back and go, what do I want? What do I need? How am I going to be able to make an impact? What is just as important as the paycheck? What does that look like for me? What's my bottom line? What can I accept if they offer me a job? And what will I need to think about and decline if it's too far below my bottom line? I think nowadays we have more opportunity. They talk about the labor shortage. Is there a labor shortage? Absolutely. Is it, a lot of it is in sort of the entry level positions, food services, beverages, stuff like that. But we also are retiring people at a rapid rate. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. Do you know that any given time, the provincial government has almost 400 jobs that go unfilled every week? So as soon as they fill 50 of them, another 50 retire, and then they fill those, and then 75 retire, and yeah, and they're making a lot of changes now. Now you can live in more rural as they need you, if that's the direction you want to go, right? Very curious. And we have more people retiring than the children we're giving birth to. So there's about a 17% disconnect between our labor market and what we need, and we are not keeping up to people aren't having enough children. And so it's going to, as we go through to about 2030, 2035, we're going to have a 17% deficit of people at any given time in the workforce. And that's why immigration has also been so important, because Canada as a country cannot possibly fill 17% of the workers that we desperately need. And so hopefully, we'll be able to cover all of these deficits with the people we welcome in, and for those that are here and have babies. So is there a shortage? Absolutely. If you're between 16 and 30 not returning to school, there's some amazing youth programs as well. Share them, tell people, because we don't have to do any of this alone. And so I hope you enjoyed this webinar. If you have any questions, I'm happy to stay on. Yeah, Cody, you're right. Stay on here if you have other questions. Pay you 17% more. Exactly. And Francis is saying 1 million people retiring in BC in the next 10 years. Yeah. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Stick to what you believe in. Stay true to your values. And don't be afraid to be curious. Just be curious. Nobody's going to chase you out of the business if you go in and say, I'm curious. What kind of jobs do you have here? I'm curious. I want to be a mental health worker, and I'm wondering if I could talk to one of the constables here in the office, or the police, right? Or whatever. I mean, the worst they can say is no. And no, and next opportunity. Just keep going. Because they're out there. Webinar, I think Thursday. I will be back, and we'll see you then. Have a really great day. Do something kind for yourself, and phone people that make you laugh, and just enjoy. Do something good for yourself today. Yeah. Okay. Take
Thanks,
care.
Holly.
Yeah.
Thanks. That was great.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm.